So I thought, if it's okay with you, we'd do things a little differently. I've been particularly looking forward to this panel. Your Highness, I'll ask you to set the scene, if you'd like, to get us thinking in a moment from the podium. Before you do, though, I'll just remind ourselves who's who. Obviously, I should say the Assistant Secretary General of the King Faisal Foundation. Thank you, Your Highness, for being with us. Dubai Cares, Tariq, has a particular focus on a particular demographic. Just remind us.
In developing countries, we do education A to Z. We're in 60 developing countries and benefiting more than 116 million children and youth into those countries.
Formidable. Thank you for the work that you do. Getty, practically a household name, Katherine, but it's not just museums, is it? Just remind us.
We're also conservation, research, and a foundation.
Fantastic.
And we're the wealthiest private art organization in the world.
Well, I was corrected that it's not 7 billion, it's 9 billion. So that's my lesson from yesterday. Thank you, Katherine. Now, welcome. Tell us a little bit about, so this is, we're talking here, Dennis, about Brazil, I think an education theme too. Exactly.
We focus on helping Brazil to deliver high-quality education to all its 40 million students.
Fantastic, thank you. And Ejin, you're not doling out the cash yet, but you are a recipient of Philanthropy, the nub of your work.
Yes, we're a fully youth-led charity that empowers young people to make informed career and further education choices. We've worked with and engaged over 270,000 young people on the belief that every young person, no matter their socioeconomic circumstance, family background, or schooling history, deserves the shot at pursuing their aspirations.
Love that. So we want to hear from you about what makes an amazing donor as well. We'll be making notes. By the way, Ejin, why do you think that philanthropy and human capability go together? Why do you think they really do?
I think they go together very well because, in our view, human capital is an alternative and new form of philanthropy that fascinates us. And one of the things that shows us that is our flagship mentorship program, the advisory mentorship program. We match students with mentors one-to-one, with mentors from their industries of interest. And when we talk to our partners, we don't ask them for money. Our partners are the likes of BCG, Citibank, and EY.
Yes.
All we say is encourage your staff to mentor with us. We've done 15,000 hours of mentorship, and we're convinced that human capital is a key part of philanthropy.
Right, so generosity takes many forms. I wanted to get that point in from you. Now, Your Highness, help us to think big, help us to set the scene. As you take to the podium, our honored guests, I know, will give you a round of applause. Thank you very much indeed. Your Highness.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, honorable guests, it is great pleasure to be here today at the Human Capability Initiative Conference 2025 to highlight why philanthropic foundations and nonprofit organizations are an important pillar of social and economical growth. But why are they so important? By prioritizing sustainability or sustainable development over profit generation, they can lead change and they can provide new innovative models of human development, especially when there is a clear goal, efficient operation, and continuous oversighting. According to the United Nations Development Programme Report 2014, philanthropy was described as an emerging contributor to development cooperation. Saudi Arabia Vision 2030 set an ambitious goal to raise the nonprofit sector contribution to the GDP from 0.3% to 5%. While the target is bold, we are steadily achieving it with a significant progress already in place. The total number of registered nonprofit organizations in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in 2024 reached 4,721 and counting. Ladies and gentlemen, focus area of philanthropy and nonprofit foundation include many areas of social economic growth, such as health, education, poverty, and others. Philanthropy also has a role in human capability development, which is the theme of this conference, such as education access, skill development, and economic mobility. This panel session will discuss the importance of philanthropy and nonprofit organization, some successful models from Saudi Arabia, the United States, United Arab Emirates, Brazil, and Singapore. We will discuss significant challenges, examples, and will try to provide some pieces of advice for other foundations, especially the new ones. Then hopefully we will set some time for questions and answers. I will try in this session to highlight successful model of King Faisal Foundation as a philanthropy and nonprofit entity which has been leader in the field since 1976. I will pass the microphone now for Mr. Oliver Barrett, the session moderator. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Highness.
Welcome.
If we could just come back to that link
Yes,
that you expressed there. How would you say that the King Faisal Foundation supports human capability?
King Faisal Foundation invested more than 3 billion riyals since 1976, basically or focusing on education and improving education and research. So they build up schools, universities, provided a lot of programs such as scholarships and improving a lot of initiatives of training and models for education in the kingdom and abroad globally as well.
Thank you, and I'll quiz you a little later on what's next as well. Your Excellency, Dr. Tariq, how do you think organizations like Dubai Cares can shift the global agenda on education?
Well, look, Oli, it's all about working on a systems level. Transformation has to be done. If we need to fix issues, we need to change the systems. Now, our expertise is into education. What's happening with traditional philanthropy is that they do innovate programming into those countries. But the issue is those are short-term goals and short-term impacts.
Yeah.
We don't see the long-term sustainable goals that are being achieved. Now, I do agree that a lot has been done towards access to education. I remember when I joined Dubai Cares in 2009, the number was 120 million children who are out of school. Today we're talking about 80 or 79 million out of school. A lot has been done, but the learning outcomes is still stagnant. It has not moved, and that's a very big issue. So to look at it, there are three main components right here. First, philanthropies have to move away from implementation towards influence. Mm-hmm. When we go into a country, we have to work with governments to see what their needs are and help them to put the priorities together, co-design a program that can be sustained and scaled up in the future. Don't come to me in 5 years and tell me, I want to scale it up now, but it's not been designed to scale. So it's very important to do that bit in the beginning. And we did it as Dubai Cares, from early childhood development to primary to secondary, moving towards tertiary, vocation, skilling, and jobs.
So this is about long-term thinking, but fundamentally about systems change.
Absolutely.
About changing the way the system works. So Katherine, on how the system works, talk to us about the intersection here between the arts, culture, and education, and the opportunity you see if we can partner those together.
Well, there's a tremendous amount of overlap. Arts and culture belong to everyone, and the best way for people to be able to take advantage of and participate in the arts and culture sphere is to have an education that renders those spheres for them something other than distant and elite. I think a lot of people have the idea that art is for someone else or belongs to the elites. That's not at all the case. It belongs to everyone. We have a whole education division. We begin with kindergarten-age children and pay to bring 1 million school children per year up to the hilltop in Los Angeles, where we have one of our 2 museums, so that they can have an encounter with art that's completely unmediated. And then our educational programs go straight through the level of postgraduate researchers. But really, you want to get people when they're very young and help them understand that this belongs to them just as much as it belongs to anybody else.
Yeah, just shrinking
And I believe
sense.
they do it with dignity as well, so that's the difference.
Yeah, and shrinking that sense of distance. Thank you for that endorsement. Dennis, how do you square that challenge? Because there, we've heard from Dubai Cares about, long-term thinking, but frankly, you're helping people get into school and university today.
Yes, but I think these are not contradictory, right? And I want to build on what Dr. Tariq said. We have to think systemically. We have to move philanthropy from project-based to problem-solving. We need to be committed to solving a problem. And in Brazil, we have been committed to solving the literacy problem. Before the pandemic, 50% of Brazilian kids were illiterate by second grade. So school was producing kids who were not able to read and write. And this is not a problem in Brazil. This is worldwide. Goes back to the issue of you provide schooling, but you're not providing learning. So once you have a systems approach to that, and you put the whole system together with philanthropy, thinking about the long term to eradicate illiteracy in our country, we are able to make really, really important progress. So now, in the case of Brazil, we went from 50% of the kids literate before the pandemic down to 31%, a learning crisis that spread all over the world. And now we're back to 65%, reaching 80% by 2027 and eradicating the problem by the end of the decade. And I think this is critical. You commit to solve a problem, you provide the intelligent capital and the convening to reach with governments and local players the needed implementation to sustain a problem to be defeated in a short period of time. And I think it's more effective to do it that way than to be running after a project after another just because it seems more urgent.
Right, and just remind us, Dennis, for the foundation, the source of the capital itself and anything that perhaps the outsider might misunderstand about really what drives it, and because this goes back for a long time.
So the Lemon family, the Lemon Foundation is a family foundation. The Lemon family is has global businesses around the world, including Anheuser-Busch InBev and Kraft Heinz, Burger King, and many other interests. But they started from Brazil, and they bet on people from day one, and they became a global entrepreneurial successful family by betting on people, by believing in giving back to the country, and building human capital. And now they're trying to do it for the country in a way that it worked for the private sector. And I think success is coming.
And on that, Ejin, presumably, of course, you need resources, cash to deliver your work, but presumably also to upskill yourselves as well. I wonder whether the door is open from philanthropists for that kind of capital.
No, absolutely. And I think the big misconception sometimes when we think about implementers of programs is that we're looking for a blank check. And that actually couldn't be further from the truth. I think, as Dr. Tariq mentioned, it's about co-designing and co-leading an initiative. And I think an example of that for us would be Workforce Singapore, one of our donors. It is the Workforce Development Agency in Singapore. And they've sponsored our industry panels for young people. But we work together on this where they'll tell us, actually, there are a number of industries that we think are critical for young people to learn about. And we'll say, actually, these are the other industries that young people are interested in. And then we figure out together, not just through the resourcing, but also how we work together to bring in the necessary people and resources. So for example, we want to do fintech together, then my team will reach out to PayPal and bring them in and say, these are the experts and this is how we work together. So it's really about finding partners who are not just ready to put in the resourcing, but have an alignment in shared goals and ideals, and are willing to co-drive that with us.
So on that, and I will, with my honored guest's permission, I'm deviating from the plan because Ejin has got us thinking here. And I'll turn the tables, don't worry. Ejin, what makes the dream donor that leads to a fruitful relationship for impact?
I think the fundamental is really an alignment on ideals and goals. And a donor that's really ready to put in resourcing, not just the funding itself, but also the human capital to make it happen. And I think I alluded to that at the start, but really it's the people who are willing to put in the resourcing. When we think about a human capital and human capability problem, mentorship and guidance for us in the work that we do, we think is the most critical solution.
Right. Now, on that, let's do like a 2-minute brainstorm. Team, what would we add if we're looking at amazing recipients like Ejin and his organization? What makes the dream recipient if the goal is to scale up human capability to deliver impact? Where would you go with that?
I would focus on the youth. I think the growth of any nation, the success of any nation will always depend on the youth. And it's how you prep those youth from schooling will depend on what kind of a super young person you would have in the future. And that person will determine the human capital. So human capability comes exactly in between. And once you have human capital, and the stronger the human capital is, that's when you achieve human development.
So what's, Katherine, anything you'd add? Or I'm intrigued to know who's doing that well, by the way, that upskilling of that next generation.
Well, I'm not going to name names, but what we look for in grantees are individuals or organizations that we know are in turn, cheesy as it sounds, going to sort of pay it forward, yes, who are themselves engaged in activities that are bringing others in or developing knowledge that then can be applied in other realms. I mean, in short, we're looking for grantees who are going to help us have the maximum possible impact, yeah, through their own impact.
Yeah, it is about that, Your Highness.
I think it's about the environment. If you don't have the right environment for that kids or that youth, you won't be able to provide them with the right education and in the right development as well.
And it is that sense of belonging, that sense that they are invited.
Yes.
They're not excluded, back to Catherine's initial point. Dennis, anything you'd add to our list?
Yes, I think a lot of times when you're running a philanthropy, you want to tackle a complex problem. Yeah. But then we keep trying to find like the magic solution. And as the saying goes, every complex problem has a easy, cheap, fast and wrong solution, yes, right? And it seems that philanthropy from time to time keeps trying to find the next one. Mm-hmm. And I think we need to embrace complexity. We need grantees who are looking at the system level, who are thinking about how we're going to understand the complexity of the problem of delivering high quality education, for example, and be able to provide like the different 4 or 5 components of this is intervention working together, yes, and then committed to results, measuring results, everything is measurable, learning from the measurement and improving what you're doing.
And then moving. Your Excellency, did you want to build on that?
It's been covered. I mean, investing in research and measuring what impact is the most important thing, and you have to have a mechanism, as Dennis mentioned, how to measure your impact. So, right, so that was the only add-on.
I suspect also that you have a role, you all have a role, in almost inspiring other philanthropists as well. It's easy to assume that just because you've got the capital that we focus our attention in that direction. But actually, I think of the hidden philanthropists in this arena who we might inspire. What would you say to them, Your Excellency?
Again, I will always come back to system changes. If you can change the system in any issue, you would actually solve the problem. Oli, the issue with us, we are just in a firefighting mode. We look at an issue, we see where the issue is within these thematics, and we try to patch these issues as if we think that this is going to work. We cannot patch things. And I'll just give you a small example to this. Again, it's in education. Yeah. If we instill the right core competencies into children, into the curriculum, to get the skills that the children need so the government achieves its vision. If we understand, we ask the government, what is your vision for the next 10 to 20 years? And work backwards and put these core competencies like skills into them. Get the values, yes, such as empathy, such as religion, anything gets into there. In government schools, in developing countries, do they speak to them about persuasion, about goal setting? And if we can get them all into the education system, and
join it up.
Ask government to speak to the private sector to see what are the future jobs that they require, and we as government will work with the Ministry of Education and Labor and put taxonomies on skilling, and we will provide you with the future youth based on the future jobs. Then it's going to happen, but none of it will happen without human experienced teachers, yes, setting the curriculum.
And so we step back in order to redesign, to rethink. I'll ask you all what we'd like to see more of, but His Excellency has rather set us up there, Your Highness, to put you on the spot, if you don't mind, about what your organization, the King Faisal Foundation, is doing in the future, particularly on human capability.
This is a good question because it will be measured within 10 years. Yeah. We have an initiative which calls the Mentor program. We might see a lot of attempts of mentor programs across the world. We've designed a mentor program that have the high achievers from the alumni of King Faisal School. Some of them are ministers today. To volunteer for free to mentor students in high school today for more than 10 years, 1 hour per year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. What we will get out of it? What we believe we will get that they will have specialized experience in the field that they're looking for. They might have a very good recommendation and solid recommendation to the university, a prestigious university they want to apply for.
Yes.
And they will have an insight to the experience from in the career that he plans to be in, and he will be there with during the university. If there is a high degree he's attempting to have, he will be under this mentor program, and also entering his career under the mentor program. And hopefully, after 10 years from now, we can give you the results of that program.
Well, we will keep in touch on that decade. I've got another initiative I'd like to ask you about, but Jin, biggest thing you've learned about how to unlock the generosity of people's time? What do you wish you'd known?
I think it's really that, and it sounds a little bit idealistic, but everyone is willing to help. You just have to structure an intervention. I love when Dennis says a systems level change. You need to structure an intervention in a way that it makes it easy for people to contribute. And so, for example, when we think of mentorship, we've done 15,000 hours. We don't need everyone to give 15,000 hours.
Right.
We just need everyone to give that 1 hour. And structuring that intervention in a way, a systems level intervention that allows individuals to contribute in the best ways they can easily, I think is something that would have helped us a lot if we had known that from the very start.
Yeah, things you wish you'd known. Okay, so I'll get some final reflections shortly, but Your Highness, a particular piece of work that caught my eye was the King Faisal Prize. Tell us a little bit more and what you hope it might stimulate.
King Faisal Prize linked to human capability enhancement. It's clearly just to inspire researchers and achievers to provide the right achievements in the global scale. So they are awarded just to enhance and inspire them. And this is a very good question because tonight we are celebrating our winners.
Oh, fantastic. And I'm being nosy now. What will the winner benefit from? How's it structured?
There is award of a monetary award, and they will be provided with a certificate, and it is under the honor of King of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Fantastic.
Since King Khalid until now, King Salman.
Yeah, well, congratulations in advance to the winner of that prize.
We have 5 winners.
Well, the winners, congratulations. We look forward to hearing about them and meeting them. Okay, so a final reflection from you each, and we only have 5 minutes remaining, so no more than a minute each. And it really comes back to the opportunity. How does philanthropy connect with human capability? What's your, it could be a word of encouragement, it could be a reflection or a call to action. Start with you, Katherine, and then we'll work around.
Well, I'm just going to give a very recent example. As most of you are likely aware, we just had horrific wildfires across Southern California. Our own institution was very much affected by them. But we realized within a matter of days that there were a number of people in arts education, artists, art practitioners, who had lost everything.
Yes.
They had lost the tools with which they worked. They had lost schools in which they worked. And we wanted to put together a fund to support them. And we realized these people were going to feel much more supported if the support was coming from a very broad base rather than from one sole source, so that they really have emphasized the fact that they are part of a community and that it is that community that's supporting them. And we worked with entities literally around the world and were able to put together about $20 million within a week. The fund is still ongoing and growing. Now that's an easy example because it was so immediate, but I think it really underscores the need to connect at a broad base level.
Right, to connect, to include, and also to move quickly when you must as well. Dennis, very briefly, a final reflection, please.
I think we have to understand we're living in an era of global problems where we are connected. Could be the climate crisis, could be issues around security, around cooperation, around refugees. There are so many issues that need cooperation. And the human capability is a global problem. And I think we have to move beyond geographies when we are working and recognize that solutions that work in certain countries can help other countries. And if we share more, exchange more knowledge, and co-invest more, collaborate more, I think we'll have better results, more concrete examples, and this is what's going to drive philanthropy to be even more relevant in the future. We need concrete results. We need to step up to the game and face the challenges that are facing the world today.
And thank you for helping us think together at that systems level. Ijin.
I would say that financial capital is finite and it's competitive. The financial capital you invest in a project can't be given to another one. But human capital is infinite and it's non-competitive. Everyone seated in this room, the education you've been through, the work experiences you've had, there are young people out there who want to be just like every single one of you here. And human capital can be a huge enabler, and everyone here has a role to play in that, to bring that human capability and transfer it to the next generation.
Thank you, Ijin. We will share that message beyond this arena. Dr. Tariq.
Well, luckily, we have launched a global framework on education transformation, and it has been attested by the UN. It's in the UN portal. So this framework is a guide to every single country, every single Ministry of Education in the world, to look at it as a guiding framework to change education systems, and we're guiding them for free, of course.
Amazing.
Now, to make this happen, we also launched a Global Education Solutions Accelerator, and I have all the global stakeholders from UN to development banks, to teachers, to academia, to agencies and teachers, supporting these countries on every single thematic in education, again, for free. And we, the accelerator, we will be funding all the salaries for these secondments from all these global organizations. And I ask every single Ministry of Education in the world, in developing countries specifically, to come and put their proposal. And we already have 10 countries which are stacked in line.
Thank you.
And these countries are having population of 1.9 billion people.
Amazing. So if you're just tuning in, Dr. Tariq Al-Gurg leads Dubai Cares and that global education initiative we look forward to hearing more about. Your Highness, I wish we were going off for a sort of round table between us now. I feel like we could do another hour. A final reflection.
Yeah, I would like to add to my colleagues. Philanthropic can support human capability initiatives by, in addition to what have been mentioned, by setting up trends and by being a pilot to other projects, either from the government or to the public sector. And this will provide better scale for the globe.
I think it's a fantastic word and sentiment to leave it on, that sense of welcoming across different sectors, across different countries as well. Your Highness, thank you for setting the scene and
you very much.
Rounding us off. But to all of you, thank you for your work, Your Excellency at Dubai Cares. Katherine, thank you for all that you're doing in institutions that will last for centuries, but also responding so swiftly. Dennis, thank you for closing gaps in education. And Ijin, thank you for all the work you're doing and for getting us to think about the generosity of time and not just capital. Each and every one of you, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.